CBS Atlanta News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
Hello and welcome to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm Brandon Rudat, co-host of Better Mornings Atlanta. This is going to be the place where we're going to talk about the issues that are important to you and your community. And today we are talking about illegal immigration. It is a hot topic that has sparked many protests like this right here. We've seen them not just here in Georgia, but across the country. Governor Nathan Deal recently signed House Bill 87 into law. It cracks down on illegal immigrants and changes the way Georgia does business. We're going to talk to the man who wrote that bill coming up in just a few moments. But first, what is this new bill, and will it do more harm than good?
And with that, Georgia is one of the country's toughest states on illegal immigration. Governor Nathan Deal signed House Bill 87 into law.
We're taking action to uphold the rule of law, to protect employers, to level the playing field for honest employers.
The law allows state and local police to check the immigration status of some suspects. It punishes people who knowingly transport or harbor illegal immigrants. It also requires business owners to check the status of all new hires.
We welcome you to become a citizen of the state of Georgia, but you need to become a law-abiding citizen. You need to become a tax-paying citizen.
Governor Deal, shame on you!
Protesters say the law will lead to racial profiling and have a huge economic impact on Georgia.
I think it's unconstitutional. I think it's racial.
What does that mean for all of the businesses that put undocumented workers into jobs that American citizens don't want?
Would you take my place at a carpet mill, working nights, 12 hours, hot as hell? Don't think so.
Activists say their next step will be boycotts.
We got a veto. We got a veto, and our veto is a boycott.
All right, throughout this program, we're going to be talking to both sides here, getting their both points of view. Joining me now is the author of the bill, State Representative Matt Ramsey. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me on, Brandon.
All right, why this bill and why now?
Well, over the last 2 to 3 years, you got to realize the backdrop against which we're having this debate. We're in the middle of a fiscal crisis in Georgia. We've had a historical drop in revenues, and year after year after year, because we actually have to balance the budget in Georgia, we've had to make tough decision after tough decision. We've had to cut spending to historically low levels when you look at the percentage of revenue that we've had a decline in over the last few years. And when you consider that, study after study shows the billions of dollars a year impact that illegal immigration has on the state of Georgia, more than $1 billion a year impact in our K through 12 schools, huge impact in our law enforcement community, huge impact on our health care infrastructure. I think we would be derogating our responsibility as policymakers if we didn't take tough action to mitigate that harm to the taxpayers, which is exactly what we did with House Bill 87.
All right, let's talk about the economy here, because there are some people against this bill who say that this could potentially be an economic disaster. Let's take, for example, what we've seen happen in Arizona. Arizona really taking the reins on immigration there. But what we've seen since 2010 is that there are now estimates that they have lost up to $400 million in tourism revenue. That revenue gone, because whether people may be canceling vacations, there are a lot of corporations may have been backing out of events at their convention centers there as well. Any fear from your side at all that we could see similar type of lost revenue with tourism here in Georgia?
I think the talk about boycotts, it's largely hysterical political rhetoric. When you look at what's happened in Arizona, and we have a very different bill than what Arizona did, but when you look at what happened in Arizona, it's a fraction of a percentage of their tourism dollars, and that's the estimates being done by the progressive left-leaning groups. At the end of the day, Georgia has one of the most business-friendly states in the country. You look at our tax policy, our regulatory policy, by all statistical measures, we have among the most business-friendly states in the country. That's not going to change. And we welcome folks to come here, and I think it's a little bit, I take with a grain of salt the groups that are coming out in favor of a boycott. These are the same groups that every single time we promulgate a policy to make Georgia more business friendly, they're the first to stand up against it.
Another argument that some people are making, they fear that this new immigration bill could lead to racial profiling.
No, that's silly. Our bill, the law is blind to race. The law is blind to national origin. What the bill says that if you are in the country illegally and you can't provide identification when you're being investigated for a crime, if you can't provide identification, which we're all asked to do whenever we're being investigated for a crime, only then can your immigration status be checked. It's a very objective standard. And any suggestion to the contrary, again, is just propaganda from the left wing that opposes the bill.
Agriculture, one of the biggest industries right here in Georgia. Is this going to have an impact on the agricultural business? Because let's face it, there are people who don't want to do some of these jobs. That illegal immigrants are doing the jobs that some people may not want to do.
You know, I keep hearing that. The people that are saying that jobs are being done by people that jobs that only Americans that Americans won't do, I think that's just completely off base. They have not been down to my district and talked to my constituents that are unemployed, that are struggling to put food on the table. And there's not one industry in Georgia that's going to be affected that as long as they're following the law. And I will say this, in the agriculture community, people don't like to talk about this a lot, but they have unfettered access to as much migrant labor as they want through the federal H-2A program. It's unlimited, and it's a legal avenue to bring in as much migrant labor as you want, and it's a legal avenue, and we hope our friends in that community will pursue it.
All right, Matt Ramsey, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right, thank you. And when we come back, an activist who calls the new immigration law a, quote, economic disaster, and one lawyer who's planning to sue to stop it. But first, we hit the streets to find out what you think about Georgia's new immigration law. Take a listen.
I'm for it because we need to know if people are here legally or illegally, because, you know, there's tourists that are coming in that are illegal, and they could be terrorists.